Hoplan kalusugan sa DepEd. Halina't alamin atin ang tuklasin, mga health program sa ating palaganapin. Tara na okay na okay. Hoplan ka mga bisyo'y alisin, sigarilyo at droga'y dapat lang buksain. Water sanitation and hygiene in schools, ating kompletuhin, 3 stars ay abutin. Malinis na tubig, segregated na toilet, group hand washing at may napkin na rin. Kalusugan ay mahalaga sa edukasyon ng mga bata. Tayo na't magkaisa, halina tayo sumama. Tara na okay na okay. Hoplan kalusugan sa DepEd. Halina't alamin atin ang tuklasin, mga health program sa ating palaganapin. Tara na okay na okay. Hoplan kalusugan sa DepEd. Halina't alamin atin ang tuklasin, mga health program sa ating palaganapin. Medical, dental, and nursing services na ating ding binibigay upang matugunan problemang pangkalusugan ng mga guro at kabataan. School mental health program, kamalayan ito'y bigyang diin, isipang malusog para sa akin at sa'yo. Kabataan at guro, tara, usap tayo. Kalusugan ay mahalaga sa edukasyon ng mga bata. Tayo na't magkaisa, halina tayo sumama. Tara na okay na okay. Hoplan kalusugan sa DepEd. Halina't alamin atin ang tuklasin, mga health program sa ating palaganapin. Tara na okay na okay. Hoplan kalusugan sa DepEd. Halina't alamin atin ang tuklasin, mga health program sa ating palaganapin. Tara na okay na okay. Hoplan kalusugan sa DepEd. Halina't alamin atin ang tuklasin, mga health program sa ating palaganapin. Okay talaga sa DepEd. Okay talaga sa DepEd.
Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Welcome po sa ating 8th episode ng ating National Drug Education Program Webinar Series or Ndep Webinar Series. Kumusta po kayo? Kumusta po ang ating mga kababayan na nadaanan ng bagyo? Kumusta po kayo sa Mindanao? Kumusta po kayo sa Visayas? Kumusta po tayo dito sa Luzon? Hangad po natin na ang bawat isa sa atin ay nasa maayos na kalagayan. At syempre, inaalala rin po natin ang ating mga kasamahan na maaaring mayroong naapektuhan severely ng dumaang mga bagyo. So para po sa ating opening prayer para sa hapon na ito, maglaan lamang po tayo ng panahon ng katahimikan bilang pag-alala po sa sitwasyon ng ating mga kababayan at usal na rin po tayo ng panalangin ng panalangin para sa kanila at para sa ating bayan. Ayan, so nawa kung ano man po ang mga pinagdadaanan natin ngayon ay magkaroon pa rin tayo ng panahon na magkamustahan sa isa't isa, matuto mula sa isa't isa. Katulad po ng sinasabi natin every week, ang atin pong webinar na ito ay recorded at maaari nyo pong balikan sa atin pong Professional Development Learning Management System sa Department of Education na nilikha para sa atin ng ating Information and Communications Technology Service or ICTS. So pwede nyo pong balikan ang recording ng ating webinars kung hindi man po kayo nakakapanood ng live sa broadcast na ito dahil naintindihan natin meron po tayong mga iba-ibang sitwasyon ngayon sa ating mga iba-ibang lugar. So sa ngayon meron po tayong 1,400 viewers. Maraming salamat po every week na kayo ay tumututok, nag-aabang sa ating episode. And katulad po ng sinasabi natin, kung hindi nyo man po mapapanood ng buo itong episode natin ngayong hapon dahil meron po kayong sitwasyon, meron kayong kailangang asikasuhin, naintindihan natin yan, pero maganda, makasama pa rin natin yung kaya pong sumama sa atin ngayong hapon dahil meron po tayong interactive questions and answers with our resource persons. Yun po yung nami-miss ng ating mga nanonood lang sa recording. Pero nevertheless, yung lecture, yung inyo pong matututunan, pwede po nating balikan sa ating recording. Ayan, so ang inyo pong narinig na awit kanina sa ating pong pambungad natin pong kanta ay nilikha ni Miss Luz Biminda Ikawalo, Everdina Giltendes at Miss Elaine Joy Ikawalo. Ang music po nito ay inarrange ni Miss Elaine Joy Ikawalo at pinerform naman ni Ma'am Rishalyn Mayoral. Nagpapasalamat po tayo sa ating mga fellow DepEd colleagues na lumikha ng napakagandang awit na ito na na-encapsulate ang mga programa sa ilalim ng Oplan Kalusugan or OK sa DepEd. Oplan Kalusugan sa Department of Education or OK sa DepEd. Sa inyo pong mga eskwelahan, ang Oplan Kalusugan sa Department of Education ay ang pagsasama-sama ng iba-ibang mga health and nutrition initiatives ng department. Kung inyo na pong na-memorize yung lyrics, no, pinag-uusapan natin ang SBFP, ang WINS, ang ARH or Adolescent Reproductive Health, ang Medical, Dental, and Nursing Services, ang School Mental Health, at syempre ang ating pong National Drug Education Program kung saan meron po tayong webinar series para sa hapon na ito. At ginagawa natin every Tuesday, 4 o'clock. May request po kami sa inyo. Katulad ng in-announce natin last week, gusto po natin mas maraming mga magulang or parents natin ang manood sa episode natin ngayong hapon. So we know our health personnel, our BKD coordinators, our Ndep coordinators, our teachers, and other non-teaching personnel are faithfully following us every Tuesday. Meron din po tayong mga viewers na non-DepEd participants or non-DepEd personnel. Maraming salamat po sa pagtutok ninyo. Pero for this particular episode, ang request po natin, no, i-share ninyo ang video na ito. Pwede po ba i-share ninyo ngayon habang nakikinig kayo and inyo po itong i-share sa inyong news, sa inyong timeline, and kung pwede, itag natin yung ibang mga parents na kakilala natin na nasa ating mga Facebook friends list para sila rin po ay makapakinig at makatutok sa napakahalagang usapin ngayong hapon. Kahit hindi na po sila kumuha ng certificate or kahit hindi na po nila makumpleto yung 10 episodes, yung mga parents po natin or mga PTA presidents, kung kaya po natin silang invite na manood ng episode ngayong hapon sa huling minutes na meron pa po tayo bago mag-start yung ating formal lecture, please invite them. And how can you do that? Please share this video on your timelines and tag the parents in your friends list. So pwede nyo po silang itag kung sila man po ay president ng PTA or other advice or kayo po mismo mga co-teachers ninyo ng mga parents. Please share this video and invite them to watch our episode. As we mentioned last week, napaka-importante po ng pag-uusapan natin ngayong hapon dahil ito na po ay yung role ng mga magulang pagdating po sa substance use prevention. Ayan, so last week umabot po tayo ng 15.7 thousand na nag-claim ng ating certificates of attendance. Ganun po karami ang nare-reach ng ating broadcast. So maraming salamat po sa inyo. So habang dumadami pa po ang mga nanonood sa atin at nag-review at nag-join sa ating pong webinar ngayong hapon, meron lang po tayong mga konting icebreaker questions or ang sabi pala mas peaceful daw na language, unfreezing. Yan, meron tayong mga unfreezing questions. Gusto lang po nating malaman sa ating mga viewers para mas makilala rin tayo ng ating resource person for this afternoon. gaano katagal na po kayong naging parent? Whether you're a father or a mother, gaano katagal na po? Ilang taon na? So, kumusta po, gaano katagal na po kayong parent? We want to know. Pwede po bang i-type ninyo sa comment section? Wow, meron po tayo dito 25 years. Meron mga bago pa lang 16 years, 14 years. I-comment nyo nga po para makita natin. Almost 7 years. 26 years. Ayan, meron nagsabi po dito, 33 years. Nakakatuwa, no po? Parang hindi natin namamalayan na nung una lang kayong nagsilang ng inyong firstborn, tapos dumami na, tumagal ng tumagal. Meron tayong mga bagong-bagong parents, 4 years, 5 years, merong 10 years, 14 years. Ayan, so at least makikita po ng ating resource person gaano ka-diverse ang ating viewers this afternoon. Ang ating next unfreezing question, pwede po bang sagutin nyo rin sa comment section? Ilan po sa inyong mga anak ang K-12 learner or yung pasok pa sa grades? Kinders. Ilan mga anak nyo ang estudyante pa natin sa ating basic education system? Maganda lang din po natin itong mapag-usapan para makita ng resource person natin kapag po kanyang nagbigay siya ng mga tips, makikita niya, alam niya na ito pala yung background ng ating mga viewers. Ayan, so meron pong nagsabi dito, isa, merong isa po, may dalawa. Kung mga teachers po ito, nakakatuwa, no, na tayo mismong sa DepEd na mga nagtatrabaho ay meron pala tayong mga learners sa ating mga pamilya. Dalawa, ayan, meron po tayong isa na mukhang graduate na ng basic education. Sabi niya, wala na po siyang K-12. Merong isa, merong dalawa, isa, tatlo. So yung mga viewers po natin para po sa ating resource person, majority po sa mga nagko-comment sa ating comment section ay merong at least isang K-12 learner na anak. So meron pang opportunity na makapag-participate sa ating National Drug Education Program. Ang ating pong third unfreezing question, sige nga po, sagutin din po natin sa ating comments section. Ano ang hindi mo malilimutang aral mula sa iyong mga magulang? Kadalasan kung ano kasi yung naipasa sa atin ng ating mga magulang, yun din yung naipapasa or naibibigay natin sa ating mga anak. Pwede po ba kayong mag-pause ng sandali at pag-isipan ninyo ito? Ano ba yung parang isang aral na natatandaan ninyo na laging sinasabi ng inyong tatay or ng inyong nanay, or maaring sinasabi niya pa rin hanggang ngayon kung buhay pa po sila at nakakasama pa ninyo, or kung sila man po ay hindi na natin kasama, natatandaan ninyo na lagi nilang sinabi noon sa inyo. Pwedeng nababanggit nyo rin ito sa inyong mga anak ngayon. Ano po itong isang aral na hindi po ninyo malilimutan mula sa inyong mga magulang? Pwede nyo po bang i-share? Si Ma'am Rolette Montemayor, maging matapat. Yan, no? Honesty is the best policy. Ma'am Madonna Lusali, sabi niya, humility. Talagang minsan na-adapt talaga rin natin yung values ng parents natin. Ma'am Luisa Tumulak, respect. Yan. So, ito, kapag dumating na ang alas 6 ng hapon, dapat nasa bahay na. Sineshare ni Ma'am Lucy Pangayaw. Nakakatuwa no po, mga simpleng paalala, simpleng reminder na tumatatak sa atin. Ayan, sabi naman po ng magulang, ni Miss Diane Montalyan na mag-aral ng mabuti dahil yan ang kayamanan sa buhay na hindi mananakaw. Yan, so i-share nyo lang po. Parang kapareho sa magulang ni Ma'am Jeneline Tindugan, sabi naman ng kanyang parents, kailanman hindi mananakaw ang kaalaman, kaya mahalaga ang pag-aaral. Parang pare-pareho ng mga advice din yung most of the parents natin, no? Respect, pagpapahalaga sa pagpapaaral, pag-aaral, palaging makinig sa magulang, sa magmahalan, magbigayan ang magkakapatid, sabi ng magulang ni Ma'am Windy Bugagaw. Ayan, so magtulungan. Nakakatuwa po no, na pag nagtanungan tayo, makikita natin yung common na ipina-advise o pinapayo sa atin ng ating mga magulang. So, yan. So, bakit po natin tinatanong ang mga bagay na ito? Ba't natin inalam gaano katagal na kayong parent? Bakit natin inalam kung meron pa ba kayong parent sa basic education sector? At bakit natin tinanong yung ating mga aral na natututunan sa ating magulang? Yan po ay may kinalaman sa ating pag-uusapan ngayong hapon. Para formal na pong buksan ng ating session this afternoon, Normally, ang ginagawa po natin is we open with a message from the executive director of the Dangerous Drugs Board na atin pong major partner for this activity as they are our partner in other drug education programs. Pero dahil ang resource person po natin for this afternoon ay manggagaling na rin sa Dangerous Drugs Board, for this afternoon, let's just listen to the message of our chief at the Bureau of Learner Support Services School Health Division para po i-contextualize yung pag-uusapan natin ngayong hapon. Maaaring nagtataka yung iba sa inyo or yung iba alam naman na yung topic this afternoon, bakit natin pinag-usapan yung mga unfreezing questions na yan as we opened our session. So let's listen to this message by our chief at the School Health Division Bureau of Learner Support Services, Dr. Maria Corazon Dumlao.
Sa ating mga minamahal na guest from the Dangerous Drugs Board, Undersecretary for Saavedra, at ang ating kaibigan at pamilya from Dangerous Drugs Board, also Asset Maria Belen Matibag sa School Health Division Family na nangunguna dito sa pagpapatuloy ng ating webinar series sa ating program coordinator, si Ma'am Girlie, at ang ating facilitator, si Gian. And sa ating mga viewers sa hapon na to, magandang hapon sa lahat ng linggo-linggo nating nakakasama sa ating talakayan patungkol sa mga substance use prevention concepts at practices na hangad natin makapagpaganda pa lalo sa pagpapatupad ng ating National Drug Education Program or Ndep sa ating mga eskwelahan. Yun ang in-announce last week ang topic natin para sa araw na to. Hinikayat din natin ang ating weekly participants na i-promote particular yung episode ngayong araw lalo na sa ating mga magulang. Napakahalaga ng pag-uusapan natin ngayong hapon. Ang title niya ay The Role of Parents in Drug Abuse Prevention and Intervention. Kahit saan banda natin tignan, hindi natin maiaalis ang napakahalagang papel natin mga magulang sa buhay ng ating mga anak. Sa buong mundo, kinikilala na ang pagkakaroon ng tahanan at pamilyang nag-aaruga ng tama ay karapatang dapat tinatamasa ng bawat bata, kagaya ng saad sa United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child na ipinopromote natin ngayong National Children's Month. Kahit sa sarili nating konstitusyon, nasa sentro din ang pamilya. Sinasaad sa Artikulo 15, Section 1 ng ating konstitusyon, kinikilala ng Estado ang pamilyang Pilipino na pundasyon ng bansa. Sa gayon, dapat itong patatagin ang kaisahan ng pamilyang Pilipino at aktibong itaguyod ang lubos na pag-unlad niyon. Sa mission statement ng Department of Education ay ating sinasabi, family, community, and other stakeholders are actively engaged and share responsibility for developing lifelong learners. Maging sa ating pambansang batas na tumutugon sa suliraning dulot ng dangerous drugs, ang Republic Act 9165 or the Comprehensive Dangerous Drugs Act of 2002, binibigyang diin din ang involvement of the family na siyang may primary responsibility pagdating sa pag-educate sa mga miyembro ng pamilya sa mga hindi magagandang epekto ng dangerous drugs. Bunsod ng lahat ng ito, iniyak natin na magiging component ng Ndep ang parent education and community outreach. Kaya may mga activities tayo gaya ng systematic training on effective parenting for STEM na na-share sa atin ng ating Ndep coordinator na si Ms. Girlie sa isa sa mga previous episodes ng ating Ndep webinar series. Napakarami natin na-reach ng mga parent leaders sa training natin na ito at alam ko na sila ngayon ang nagtataguyod at nagpapatuloy ng mga advocacy para maipatupad ang magandang pagiging modelo on parenting skills. Sa pinakauna nating episode, sinabi natin na napakahalaga ng socialization upang matiyak ang kalusugan at kaligtasan ng mga tao, lalo na ng mga kabataan, sa aspeto ng substance use prevention. At natutunan din natin, pangalawa lamang ang eskwelahan sa pinakamahalagang agent of socialization dahil pinaka-importante pa rin ang tahanan. So, anong mangyayari sa episode na ito? Sa ating episode na to, hangad natin mapalayong palalo ngayong hapon ang ating kaalaman bilang mga magulang kung paano natin magagampanan ang ating papel at mapapalakas ang ating mga pamilya sa paggabay at pangangalaga ng ating mga anak, lalo na pagdating sa usapin ng substance use at abuse. Alam mo, nagpapasalamat tayo ng ating resource person sa paksang ito ay mula rin sa Dangerous Drugs Board. Papakilala siya sa atin mamaya ni Ms. Gurley. Ngunit gusto ko lang i-highlight na gaya ng pag-emphasize natin sa kahalagaan ng partnership between the school and the family, between the teachers and the parents para sa substance use prevention, ito rin ang dinademonstrate natin sa episode natin ngayong hapon na ang Ndep at Dangerous Drugs Board ay tunay na magkatuwang sa ating mga initiatives pagdating sa drug education and substance abuse prevention, lalo kung kailangan natin i-engage ang ating mga community members. Halina't makinig at matuto. Excited kaming marinig din ang feedback ninyo kung paano ninyo i-apply sa inyong mga tahanan ang inyong mga natututunan. At syempre, challenge na naman po ito sa ating mga prevention specialists na train natin on substance use prevention. So muli, magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat.
Ayan po ang mensahe para sa atin ng aming division chief sa Bureau of Learner Support Services School Health Division. Si Dr. Maria Corazon Dumlao po ay isa ring Universal Prevention Curriculum Global Trainer. So, and while Ma'am Berly, our Ndep coordinator, is a national trainer. So dito po mismo sa ating central office ay meron po tayong pinagpala po tayo na meron po tayong mga resource persons na sa ating mismo ay pwedeng mag-share ng kanilang expertise pagdating sa substance use prevention. And katulad po ng ginagawa natin every week, no, pinapakilala po natin sa inyo ang National Drug Education Program. Maari po kasing yung iba sa atin nagtataka, ano ba yung barkada kontra droga na naririnig namin? Kasi meron po mga schools na bago pa lang pala na, let's say, bago yung principal or bago pa lang na-inform about the barkada kontra droga. So ginagawa po natin every Tuesday, pinapakilala po natin sa inyo ang iba-ibang activities natin under the National Drug Education Program. So in the past 7 episodes, napakilala po natin sa inyo kung ano ang Ndep, ano ang objectives nito, at ano-ano ang mga activities na meron tayo dito. Ilang activities na rin po yung na-explain ni Ma'am Gurley, yung training for parents, yung barkada kontra droga, at marami pa pong iba, UPC trainings. Para naman po sa hapon na ito, isa pa pong activity ang i-share sa atin ni Ma'am Gurley para mas maintindihan din po natin ano ba ang direksyon ng National Drug Education Program para sa mga darating na buwan at taon sa ating Department of Education. Tawagin ko na po muli si Ma'am Gurley Azurin, our National Program Coordinator for the National Drug Education Program, to share to us one more activity about the National Drug Education Program. Ma'am Gurley.
Okay, thank you, Gian. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Well, last week na pag-usapan po natin yung seminar workshop of secondary school principals on RA 9165 or the Dangerous Drugs Act of 2002. Dito po na-discuss yung salient features po ng RA 9165, including Article 4, which is the participation of family, students, teachers, and school authorities in the enforcement of the RA. Ngayon, another activity na naman po ang i-share namin sa inyo. Next, please. Pag-usapan po natin briefly ang consultative workshop on the development of reference manual for substance use prevention. Next, please. Ito pong workshop na to aims to provide a reference material to be used by our prevention coordinators in their drug prevention advocacy. Next. Ano po ba yung mga objectives nito? First, develop reference manual for prevention coordinators. Since consultative naman po ito, napag-usapan po ng grupo na hindi po muna reference manual yung ide-develop namin. Instead, nag-develop po ng mga PowerPoint presentations and other strategy po na makakatulong sa kanila in their drug prevention advocacy. Second, orient the prevention coordinators on UNODC standards in substance use prevention. Dito po, may guest po kami na global and national UPC trainers at sila po yung nag-comment or nagbigay ng mga suggestions sa mga output po ng ating mga participants. Third, determine the roles and responsibilities of prevention coordinators in substance use prevention efforts of the department. Next, please. So, ang participants po natin dito ay ating mga regional and selected division and Ndep coordinators. At ginanap po ito last November 5 to 8, 2019 sa Hotel Elizabeth, Cebu City. We have 67 participants po dito sa seminar workshop na ito. Next. Gusto ko lang i-share sa inyo yung mga photos, no? Ito pong photos na to on the left side, group activities po yan. Bali, dinivide po namin ang grupo into 5 and then nag-assign po kami ng target participant and then nag-develop po sila ng IEC materials, PowerPoint presentations and other strategies that will help them in during their drug prevention advocacy. Yung right side photo naman po, ito na po yung presentation ng output nila. Next please. Ito po yung parang graduation na po yan kasi may mga posing na po yung kanya-kanyang region dyan. At yung right side po, ito po yung group photos po. Lahat po yan ay nag-participate from nationwide po yan, participation po ng Ndep coordinators. So nakaka-miss po talaga yung ganitong activities, no? Sana matapos na po itong pandemya na to para maituloy natin itong pag-conduct ng mga ganitong face-to-face no, na activities. I think that's my last slide. Thank you very much po. Sa susunod po ulit na episode nitong Ndep webinar. Thank you.
Maraming salamat po, Ma'am Girlie. Ma'am Girlie, yung mga presentations po, pwede na pong i-share ba sa mga Ndep coordinators?
Presentation nitong mga activities?
Opo. Yung ginawa po
yes
doon
naman,
sa reference manual?
Actually, hindi pa kasi meron pang kailangan na revisions na i-check. At baka padaanin pa natin din sa ating BLR division.
For vetting. Alright. Maraming salamat po, Ma'am Girlie Azurin, our National Drug Education Program Coordinator. So isa po yan sa mga direksyon natin sa Ndep, mag-develop ng mga toolkits na naglalaman ng mga presentations and reference materials para mas maging effective po ang pag-implement natin ng ating National Drug Education Program sa ating mga eskwelahan. So I know excited ang ating mga Ndep coordinators, ang ating DKD coordinators, ang ating mga substance use prevention specialists na ma-standardize ang mga tools na ito para magamit na natin. Pero kahit wala pa po itong mga standardized tools na ating binabanggit, meron na pong initiatives ang ating mga health personnel, Ndep coordinators, UPC trained personnel, at ang iba pa nating mga kasama sa field pagdating sa pag-i-implement ng National Drug Education Program. So excited po tayo na laging marinig ang mga bagay na yan, paano po ninyo ini-implement ang National Drug Education Program. I know excited na po kayo kasi ito medyo maaga po tayong mag-start with our lecture, no, compared dun sa previous weeks dahil meron tayong mga introduction or introductory messages. Pero bago yan, gusto lang po nating i-announce na nasa pang-8 episode na po tayo ng ating National Drug Education Program webinar series. Sino po sa inyo ang naka-attend ng ating past 7 episodes faithfully every Tuesday? Sino po sa inyo ang nanonood naman through our recording? Ang mahalaga po ay nakikinig tayo ng mabuti, nagte-take note at higit sa lahat, pumupulot ng mga aral, mga konsepto, mga practices na pwede nating i-apply para sa ating National Drug Education Program implementation at the school level. Yun naman po, at the end of the day, hindi lang po natin gustong magkaroon basta tayo ng webinar, kundi magkaroon po kayo, ang ating po mga Ndep coordinators, BKD coordinators, tobacco control coordinators, iba pang health personnel and teachers ng mga tools na pwede ninyong magamit. And dahil ito pong recording natin ay available sa Facebook at sa ating PDLMS, pwede nyo rin po itong gamitin kung paano ninyo po nakikita na makakatulong sa inyong implementation ng ating National Drug Education Program. So pangwalo na po ang ating pag-uusapan nating topic this afternoon. And meron na po tayong announcement tungkol sa paksang ito. Meron tayong unfreezing questions at the start of our session this afternoon. Meron lang po tayong one final question na gusto po nating sagutin ninyo. Kasi baka para medyo nagle-level up naman yung mga tanong natin. So kanina we asked you of the learning, mga remarkable na itinuro sa inyo ng inyong mga magulang. So gusto po nating tanungin kayo naman, kayo mismo bilang mga magulang, ano po ang may tuturing ninyong filosofiya? Ayan, what is your philosophy as a parent? Pwede po bang i-share ninyo sa comment section, what is your philosophy as a parent? Hindi po necessarily related sa drugs, no? But as a parent, sa inyong parenting style, ano yung guiding belief ninyo na sa inyong pagpapalaki ng mga anak, sa inyong pagdidisiplina, and maybe on how you handle issues related to drug education or drug prevention, nakakaapekto ang pilosopiyang ito. Ayan, sabi ni Ma'am or Sir Oy Senoid Gabin, always speak for the best and give what is due to whom it is due. Ayan, so yan ang kanyang philosophy as a parent. Kayo po, yung iba nating mga 2,100 participants na nanonood at nakatutok sa ating episode this afternoon, what do you consider as your philosophy as a parent? Baka kasi nakaka-apekto nga yan, no? Hindi lang sa ating mga parenting styles and disciplinary action as parents, kundi sa inyo na ring mga disposisyon pagdating sa drug prevention. Ayan, sabi ni Ma'am Madeline Camarce, it is better to be educated than to be popular. So hindi yung popularidad, no, kundi yung wastong kaalaman ang mas mahalaga para sa kanya. Sabi po ng ating ni Ma'am Romela, son, spare the rod and spoil the child. Mukhang ito ay isang Bible verse. At sabi naman ni Ma'am Angelica Besa, walk the talk, be a good example to your children. Yan. So meron tayong mga iba-ibang filosofiya bilang mga magulang, no? So allow us to read some of your responses. Si Sir Ogie sa Inofuente, sabi niya, as a parent, I want my child to be God-fearing and God-abiding. Good guidance and show love for my children. Yan naman ang philosophy ni Sir Leo Palmos Jr. Be a good example, katulad nung kanina. Yan ang philosophy ni Ma'am Balestra Ugat. So, money and time spent in education is always and will be well spent. Kay Ma'am Sylvia Celoza. Ayan. Always support my children, sabi ni Ma'am Maria Castor Celestial. So meron tayong iba-ibang mga kayo po, no, bilang mga magulang, meron kanya-kanyang mga filosofiya na nakaka-influence sa inyong parenting style. So tingnan natin paano natin i-marry ang inyong parenting philosophy sa mga matututunan natin ngayong hapon sa ating resource persons. As we always announce every week, huwag po sa comment section maglagay ng inyong mga questions, comments, or insights, kundi sa link na pinapakita natin regularly sa inyong screen. Ayan. So, kita nyo po. Kita nyo na po sa inyong screen. Nakalagay po bit.ly 2020 Ndep Web Series Feedback. Yan po ang link na inyong pupuntahan para po magpahayag ng inyong questions, comments, or insights sa ating resource persons. Mamaya po sa dulo ng lecture ng ating resource persons ay meron tayong Q&A kung saan pwede pong mag-share kayo ng inyong mga questions. Babasahin po natin yung mga relevant questions na magandang ma-erase natin sa ating resource person. And because we know you're already really excited na ma-meet ang ating resource person for this afternoon and matuto sa kanya, let us get to know our resource person na ipapakilala po sa atin ng ating Medical Officer 4 at the School Health Division, Dr. Marie Blanca Piatos. Doc V?
Thank you, Gian. Magandang hapon ho sa ating lahat. Kumusta na po tayo? Our resource speaker for this afternoon has an outstanding academic record. She was a consistent honors student and graduated with a degree of Bachelor of Arts in Philosophy, cum laude, at the Philippine Normal College. She is a holder of a master's degree in government management and as a consistent din solicitor at the Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng Maynila, garnering a weighted average of 1.18. She has been conferred the Career Service Executive eligibility by the Civil Service Commission on June 6, 2003. Assistant Secretary Matibag has had a long stint as a public servant, having been with the Dangerous Drugs Board since she was only 20 years old. With extensive experience on drug abuse prevention and control. She practiced guidance and clinical psychology during her earlier years with a DDB and has since slowly climbed up the ladder to the managerial position as chief of the Policy Studies, Research and Statistics Division of the same agency. On January 5, 2007, she was appointed by President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo as the Deputy Executive Director for Operations, or DEDO, of the Dangerous Drugs Board, with the rank of Assistant Secretary. Asek Matibag possesses excellent communication skills and serves as a resource person and speaker not only locally but also regionally, and has written articles and papers in publications both here and abroad. She has ably represented the country in various international conferences and training courses. Asek Matibag has been conferred the National Award by the Philippine Normal University Alumni Association Incorporated for her outstanding accomplishments on the area of drug abuse prevention and control. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor to give you the Deputy Executive Director for Operations of the Dangerous Drugs Board. I'm referring now to Assistant Secretary Maria Belen Angelita V. Matibag.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much, Dr. Piatos.
You're
I
welcome,
return the honor to you for having invited me over to this overwhelming webinar. Okay, so may I now present my talk?
Go ahead, ma'am.
The role of parents in drug abuse prevention and intervention. The role of parents on their children's lives cannot be overemphasized. Whatever the children will become later in life will depend largely on how they were nurtured and cared for by their parents. The values and standards of behavior set by parents will be carried on through adulthood if consistently and constantly inculcated since childhood. The outline of my presentation is as follows. I will discuss on the link between and among smoking, alcohol drinking, and trying drugs, risk and protective factors for drug use. Prevention starts with parents, their role on drugs and substance abuse prevention, and 5 steps to help a child who is using drugs. Before I delve into my main topic, allow me to share with you the link between and among smoking, alcohol drinking, and trying drugs, culled from the recently released DDB 2019 National Household Survey on the patterns and trends of drug abuse. I hope that you will find this information interesting and that it may serve as a reference guide to you. The survey covered 9,341 households with respondents aged
10 to 69 years old, randomly selected in all 17 regions, including barn and car in the Philippines. The survey results revealed these projections of the patterns pertaining to the 4.7 million Filipinos aged 10 to 69 years who are lifetime users. Lifetime users are those who have tried drugs at least once in their life. So kung meron mang nakatikim sa mga nanonood ngayon at kung mahagip kayo ng survey at aamin kayo, mapapabilang kayo sa lifetime users. Ibang usapan na nga lang, pag gumagamit pa rin kayo, current user na ang kategorya nun. About 3.5 million of them tried drugs, smoking, and alcohol drinking simultaneously. So ito yung nakasubok gumamit ng droga kasabay ng paninigarilyo at pag-inom ng alak. 3.5 million ang estimate figure for them o tinatayang 4 sa 100 Pilipino na ang edad ay 10 to 69 years old. Ang nagdroga kasabay ng alak at sigarilyo. About 600,000 tried drugs and alcohol drinking simultaneously. Ito naman, pinagsabay ang pag-inom ng alak at paggamit ng droga. 600,000 or isa sa bawat 100 Pilipino na edad 10 to 69 years. Bear in mind na ang sakop lang ng projection natin ay yung 10 to 69 years old dahil yan lang ang sakop ng mga na-interview sa survey. About 142,000 tried drugs and smoking simultaneously. Ito, pinagsabay ang paninigarilyo at paggamit ng droga. 142,000 or dalawa sa bawat 1,000 Pilipino. About 464,000 use drugs only. Ito naman, yung mga gumamit lang ng droga na hindi sinabayan ng paninigarilyo at pag-inom ng alak, na kumakatawan sa 6 sa bawat 1,000 Pilipino, edad 10 to 69 years old. Ang pinakamarami pa rin ay yung pinagsabay ang smoking, alcohol drinking, and drug use. Now, let us find the reasons for starting, for being initiated to drug use, and for continuing these vices. 36.2 started smoking at age 19, mainly due to peer influence and curiosity. 44% of them continue to smoke for enjoyment and relaxation, or they cannot stop. Hindi na nila mahinto because they became addicted to smoking already. 56%, no, nandun na tayo sa gitnang column, 56.7% tried drinking at age 21, mainly due to peer influence and curiosity. 54% of them continued to drink for socialization, enjoyment, and relaxation. So, nagpatuloy sila sa pag-inom dahil nag-enjoy na sila sa experience. 5.8%, nandun na tayo sa huling column, tried taking drugs at age 22, mainly due to peer influence and curiosity. 36% of them continued to use drugs because it helps in getting them to sleep, forgetting problems, and for other reasons. Please note that the common reason given for starting or sa pagtikim ng sigarilyo, alak at droga is peer influence. Napakalaki talaga ng impluwensya ng barkada sa mga kabataan. Please also take note that as one progresses from one risky behavior to the other, the reasons for doing so vary. Naiiba na ang mga kadahilanan kung bakit itinutuloy nila ang bisyo. The survey also revealed that there were more respondents who were introduced to smoking and or drinking alcohol as early as the age of 7 years old, while for drug experimentation at the age of 11 years. Can you imagine, sa loob ng center natin ngayon, merong 2 batang lalaki na edad 7 years old ang nagpaparehab dahil sa paggamit ng shabu at marijuana? Hindi inhalants ang gamit nila ha. Nakakalungkot. With regard to the relationship between the age of onset of smoking to drug use, survey data revealed that non-drug users first tried smoking at 19 years old, while most drug users did at an earlier age of 17. While most drug users started smoking at 17 years old, those who started smoking earlier at 15 years old and below have greater chances of becoming drug users than others. Ibig sabihin, pag mas bata kang matutong manigarilyo, like 15 years old and below, mas malamang na magiging drug user ka later as you grow older. As to the connection of age of initiation to alcohol drinking to drug use, it was shown that non-drug users first tried alcohol drinks at 21 years old on the average, while drug users did at age 18. Respondents who started drinking at 18 years old and below are more likely to be drug users than those in the other age groups. So gaya rin sa paninigarilyo, ang mga mas batang natutong uminom ng alak, 18 years old and below, ay mas malamang maging drug user pagtanda nila. Karaniwan sa mga nakasubok magdroga ay pinagsabay ang paninigarilyo at pag-inom ng alak habang nagdodroga. Nagsimula sila sa paninigarilyo at age 17 years old, natutong uminom ng alak ng edad 18 years old at nagsimula magdroga ng edad 22 years old. This leads us to the conclusion that the earlier the person is initiated to smoking and alcohol drinking, the greater the likelihood for that person to try or use dangerous drugs or substances. Mas maagang natutong magbisyo ng sigarilyo at alak ang isang tao, mas malaki ang tsansa na susubok o gagamit siya ng droga. Bilang magulang, huwag na huwag nating bibigyan ng pagkakataon ng ating mga anak na sumubok panigarilyo o uminom ng alak para hindi siya malulong sa droga kalaunan. O kung talagang hindi maiiwasan sa kaanumang kadahilanan, i-delay o patagalin muna ang pagsisimula nila sa mga bisyo na ito. Di naman lingid sa atin na sa ibang kultura, talagang tanggap ang paninigarilyo at pag-inom ng alak. Lalo na sa malalamig na parte ng ating bansa at maging sa ibang bansa. The findings of the DDB survey are further validated by the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, a U.S. agency within the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services in 2015. According to them, brain development is not complete until age 25. Early to late adolescence is a critical period for youth to begin using drugs. Essential parts of a teenager's brain are forming, affecting the ability to make logical decisions. Teens are more likely to take risks, and impulsive behaviors may involve drug use. Developing brains are more prone to damage. As a result, teens become addicted more quickly with greater consequences. So dahil hindi pa fully develop ang utak ng mga kabataan, hindi pa sila marunong magpasya ng tama at mas mapangaha silang sumubok sa mga mapapanganib na mga gawain tulad ng paggamit ng droga. Mas madaling mapinsala ang batang utak at mas madaling magumon sa maling bisyo at sa huli, magdusa sa masamang ibubunga ng mga bisyong ito. Ang brain development ay humihinto lamang sa edad na 25 years old. Habang napopospone o nadidelay ang pagsubok sa pagbibisyo, maging alak man o sigarilyo, ay nakapagpapababa ng tsansa na maging addict or dependent sa droga or substances ang isang tao. In fact, according to the Center on Addiction, youth who begin using addictive substances before age 15 are nearly 7 times more likely to develop a substance abuse problem compared with those who delay first use until age 21 or older. So 9 out of 10 people with substance problems started using by age 18. Ang mga findings na ito na galing sa Amerika ay hindi nalalayo sa mga findings ng ating 2019 DDB survey na aking nabanggit sa panimula. Now, after knowing these statistics, it is important for us to review the conditions that may make our children vulnerable to using drugs, the risk and protective factors. The risk factors are the conditions that may increase the likelihood to use drugs, while the protective factors are those that reduce the possibility of a person to use drugs. You can see from the slides the example of risk and protective factors for drug use. I will read each one by one, and they are already self-explanatory. For the risk factors, we have the chaotic home environment, ineffective parenting, little mutual attachment and nurturing, inappropriate, shy, or aggressive classroom behavior, academic failure, low academic aspirations, poor social coping skills, affiliation with deviant peers, perceived external approval of drug use by peer, by family, or by community, and parental substance abuse or mental illness. For the protective factors, strong family bonds, parental engagement in child's life, clear parental expectations and consequences, academic success, strong bonds with school, community, and the church, conventional norms about drugs and alcohol. It is highly important to avoid these risk factors from occurring in our children's environment and to develop and promote the protective factors to deter possible drug use. After knowing these factors, what should parents do in order to cultivate and nurture a home environment that is conducive to a drug-free and healthy lifestyle for your children? Parents play a critical role on their child's behavior. Remember the poem, "Children learn what they live"? As a parent, you have a major impact on your child's decision not to smoke, use alcohol, and use drugs. Here are some ways by which we can prevent our children from engaging in these unhealthy habits. Find time to do things together. Eating together as a family is a good time to talk and learn about what's going on. Eating together enhances family bonding and encourages light conversations. Have a daily connect with your child. Do this face-to-face if possible. Kung hindi, do it in some other ways. Like yung pag-iiwan ng notes sa may ref, pag-iwan ka ng sweet notes sa may higaan niya. Do this para kahit hindi kayo magkita, nakaka-connect pa rin kayo sa bata. Create a special ritual or routine with your children. Something that can be done daily, like watching a TV or movie together, or saying bedtime prayers together before sleeping. You can also schedule a date time with your child, at least once a week. Do something your child enjoys doing. Siguraduhin nyo lang na ready and available kayo sa date na sinet nyo. Wag na wag kayo mangiin dyan kung ayaw nyo magtampo ang anak nyo. And make sure that you will focus your attention to your child and do to what you are doing. It could be playing video games o mag-videoke and playing sports together. Prevention starts when you start talking with and listening to your child. You must learn to communicate. Listen to your child, giving your full attention. Most children are capable of responding to good communication. They can better express themselves and are encouraged to talk if we communicate properly and pleasantly with them. Huwag yung palaging galit or high blood pag kinakausap yung mga anak. Pag ganon, talagang hindi nila kayo kakausapin. Tataguan pa kayo at iiwasan. Communication starts with looking at your child when he or she is talking. Parents should listen and treat your child as your equal, with valid emotions and concerns. Iba rin ang pag-uusap eye to eye. Sabi nga, the eyes are the windows to the soul. The eyes show the truth no matter what face we put on. Ang ating mga mata ang nagsasabi ng tunay nating nararamdaman. Also, watch out for non-verbal cues, yung body language. Sabi nga, action speaks louder than words. In the same manner, parents should also use body language or touching to express love and support. Using caring body language reinforces your words of encouragement and support for your children. Ipadama natin sa ating mga anak ang pagmamahal at suporta natin through actions. Pwede natin silang ihag, pwedeng kiss, pwedeng akbayan, or simpleng haplusin lang o pagtapik lang sa balikat. Ang sarap ng feeling ng ganon, both sa parent at sa bata lalo na. Parents can guide their children to correct mistakes and poor choices by using a combination of praise and constructive criticism. This way, you can help your child build his self-confidence and learn how to make healthy and safe choices. In time, hindi na sila magiging dependent sa mga parents para gumawa ng mga minor decisions for themselves. Notice efforts as well as successes. It is also helpful to appreciate efforts, not achievements alone. Children are still on the stage of developing their skills, so we should appreciate their process of learning and the effort that they give to learn. If they're having difficulties, words of encouragement go a long way. Positive feedback on their efforts and guidance on how to tackle the challenge are very important. Kaya mo yan. Konti na lang na practice. For them, it would be a process of trial and error, guided by your words of motivation for them to try again and learn until they become successful. Try and try until you die. Ay mali, until you succeed pala. Praise for things done well and for making good choices. How your child behaves and how he looks at life is related to his sense of self-worth and confidence. Yung pagpapahalaga at tiwala niya sa sarili. Magiging maayos ang kanyang pag-uugali at maaliwalas ang pananaw sa buhay kung mataas ang pagpapahalaga niya sa kanyang sarili. So make sure that your child feels wanted and valued. Gusto nyo, mahal at pinagpapahalagahan nyo ang inyong anak. Appreciate their good qualities and good behavior para ma-develop ang self-confidence at maging highly motivated sila. Praise natin sila for a job well done and do not be critical. Use positive reinforcement. For example, maganda yung artwork niya. You can say, ang ganda naman ng drawing mo kasi ang tiyaga-tiyaga mo mag-practice. Kung hindi naman kagandahan, pwede natin sabihin ganito. Alam mo, mas may improve mo pa yung artwork mo kung dadalasan pa natin ang pag-practice. Huwag niyong sasabihin na, yan ba ang drawing mo? Ang pangit naman. Puro computer games kasi inaatupag mo, kaya ganyan kapangit ang artwork mo. Tigilan mo na yung computer games, ha? Kaya ngayon, sa distance learning, marami raw umiyak ng mga bata. Kasi mas gusto nila na yung tunay na teacher ang magturo sa kanila. Kasi mas terror pala yung nanay. Alam nyo, bukod sa mga batang 1 to 3 years old, kung saan natural sa kanila ang negativism, ang mga kabataan ay dumadaan din sa stage ng negativism. Kung saan habang sila ay pinagbabawalan, ay lalo naman nilang ginagawa yung sinasabi nating huwag gagawin. Pag hindi nila na-overcome ang stage ng negativism, tatanda sila na hindi kumikilala sa authority figures. So kailangan talaga ingatan natin ang pag-handle sa mga kabataan upang hindi sila lumaking pasaway. Parents should set realistic expectations on their child and should help the child set realistic goals for themselves. There are parents that tend to compare their children. Sasabihin doon sa younger son, dapat pag-graduate mo, pareho kayo ng ate mo, valedictorian ka rin ha? Kung hindi, masisira ang pattern. This places an extreme pressure for the son, and inwardly, he may develop resentment to his parents as well as to his ate because she is always the best. Encourage positive friendships and interests. Dapat i-guide natin sila kung anong hobbies ang dapat nakahiligan nila. Find ways to get your child involved in sports, hobbies, school clubs, and other activities. These usually are positive interactions that help develop character and lead to good peer relationships. Check to see that the friends and neighbors your child spends time with are safe and have values similar to yours. Na-establish na natin earlier ang impact ng peer influence sa mga kabataan. So make sure that they are in the company of good people with positive influence on them. If friends have favorable attitude towards drug use, this can increase risk. Having friends who engage in drug use is the most significant contributor to the development of the drug abuse problem. We have a saying, tell me who your friends are, and I'll tell you who you are. Birds of the same feather flock together. Teach your children to choose their friends wisely. Wag lang vote wisely, ha? Choose your friends wisely. Get to know their friends and allow them to hang out in your house so you can watch them and monitor their activities. Be a good role model. Sabi nga kanina ng isang parent, walk your talk. The best parent you can be is to lead by example. As a parent, you should also be selective of your friends because your children will look at the kind of friends you have. It will be their basis for choosing their own. Iwasan niyo ang mga taong mahilig magmura o yung mga may unhealthy habits because your children will pattern their set of friends to yours. Help your children learn the importance of being a responsible individual. Children need to learn that doing something they know is wrong is not a good way to fit in or feel accepted by others. Remind your children that true friends will not ask him to do risky things like use alcohol, tobacco, or drugs. True friends will not reject him if he refuses to do something na alam niyang mali at di dapat ginagawa ng kagaya niya. Ang batang responsable ay hindi gagawa ng bagay na alam niyang mali para lang makibagay at tanggapin ng mga kaibigan niya. Teach your children to say no. A good sense of self-worth and knowing what is right and wrong will help your child say no to drugs and other risky behaviors. Let your child say no to people activities or situations that make them uncomfortable. The more that they are allowed to follow their own instincts, the more likely that they will listen to their own intuition when in a difficult situation. Sabi nga, trust your instincts. Kung feeling mo na, naku, mukhang ipapahamak ako ng tao na to, iwasan mo na. Teach your children also how to respond to someone offering drugs. It is much easier to say no when prepared in advance. Mag-roleplay na kayo. Sabihin mo, anong sasabihin o gagawin mo pag may na mag-alok sa iyong tumagay o magdroga? It helps if you roleplay and practice. This way, pag ando na sa ganong sitwasyon, alam na nilang sasabihin nila o gagawin. It could be any of the following. Firmly say no. Basta ayoko, no, ayaw. Or give a reason. No thanks, ayoko niyang droga, baka patayin ako ng tatay ko. Or you can also suggest something else to do. Naku, buti pa siguro mag-basketball na lang tayo, manood tayo ng Netflix. Or you can simply leave, go home, or join other friends. In that way, he is able to communicate na ayaw na talaga ng droga at kahit anumang may kinalalaman dito. By definition, prevention focuses on helping children avoid or delay the initiation of substance use, as illustrated in the survey findings I shared with you earlier. However, it is not limited to just preventing initiation. Kung sila man ay nakasubok na, prevention also involves avoiding the development of dependence. Maiwasan ang pagkalulong at mahinto agad ang paggamit. Gaya ng nabanggit na ni Dr. Dumlao earlier, no less than Section 41 of RA 9165 or the Comprehensive Dangerous Drugs Act of 2002 states that the family, being the basic unit of Filipino society, shall be primarily responsible for the education and awareness of the members of the family on the ill effects of dangerous drugs and close monitoring of family members who may be susceptible to drug use. Thus, it is not only our moral responsibility as parents, but also our civic duty to make sure that our children are free from drugs. Parents are the strongest influence the children have. There is no guarantee that your child won't use drugs, but drug use is much less likely to happen if you equip yourself or your children the necessary tools or skills. Learn the facts about the harmful effects of drugs, the warning signs, and be familiar with the drug lingo. Before you can empower your children to be drug-free, you have first to capacitate yourself. You cannot give what you don't have. Paano mo siya tuturuan ng tungkol sa droga kung ikaw mismo hindi mo alam? Know the popular drugs of abuse and the signs and symptoms of drug use. Read, magbasa, so you will be familiar with these things. Educate your children about drugs. Pass your knowledge about drugs to your children, but this should be done based on their age. Start by teaching them about the correct use of medicines, teaching them skills on how to say no, and basic knowledge on substances at the right age. Talk with your child about the negative effects of alcohol and drugs. Naalala ko nung may working mother na nagkwento sa akin, nung araw pa to na pag naantok na siya at ayaw pa matulog ng anak niya, pinapainom na ng isang kutsara ng cough syrup, yung cherry flavor, para antukin na yung bata at sabay na silang matulog. Sagot ka naman, hala ka. Bata pa lang, tinuturoan mo na maging adik ang anak mo. Ang cough syrup para sa ubo, hindi para pampatulog. Teach them facts so they will know a credible source. Your discussions with your children about drugs should be based on accurate facts. That way, they will not be confused. Do not exaggerate or invent horror stories just to scare them off. Huwag mong takutin ng mga buladas lang. With the internet, they can always validate if what you're saying is true. If not, you will lose your credibility and they will no longer believe in what you tell them. Correct any wrong beliefs your child may have. They may say, anyway, everybody drinks. Or marijuana won't hurt you. Okay lang daw marijuana kasi ginagamit ng iba na gamot. Alam nyo, ang sangkap na marijuana na inaabuso ay yung THC o yung tetrahydrocannabinol. Ito yung nagpo-produce ng high. Yung sangkap naman na sinasabing gamot ay yung CBD o yung cannabidiol. Hindi ito nakaka-high. So dapat alam yan. Provide guidance and clear rules about not smoking, drinking alcohol, and using drugs. Make sure your child knows the rules, the consequences for breaking those rules, and most importantly, that you will really enforce these consequences. These consequences should be reasonable, enforceable, and short-lived. Kung nag-violate ng rules, dapat may kaukulang sanction like no TV, no cellphone for 2 days or 1 week. Pero wag naman forever. Pag ganun, lalo hindi na kayo susundin, tatakas na yan. Make it clear that you disapprove of alcohol, vaping, smoking, and drug use. And look for opportunities to discuss your feelings about them effectively. Do it in such a way that you don't sound as if nagsisermon kayo. Pwede mong sabihin, alam mo ba yung kapitbahay natin? Namatay yun kasi nag-develop ng lung cancer because of smoking. Or, napanood ba yung balita na nadisgrasya kasi nag-drive ng nakainom? Very subtly, discuss the harmful effects of these vices without preaching. Remember, hindi kayo pare, kaya huwag kayo magsisermon. Make drugs, substances inaccessible to children. Keep common substances like cigarette and alcohol away from your home. Avoid TV programs, movies, and video games that glamorize tobacco, alcohol, and drugs. At ang pinaka-importante, do not use tobacco or other drugs yourself. Practice what you preach for you to be credible. If it's bad for your child, it should be bad for you too. Refrain from practicing a double standard of behavior. Now, how can you tell if your child is using? What are the manifestations? Generally, there are changes in behavior, attitude, motivation, and interests. Or for easy recall, BAMI, behavior, attitude, motivation, and interest. And this may include the following. A child neglects schoolwork, his grades are declining, he is losing interest in extracurricular activities, he has changed his set of friends, social groups, yung way of style niya ng pagdanamit, or kanyang ugali. His sleep patterns may be irregular, sometimes unusually short, oftentimes prolonged naman, sobrang haba matulog. Worrisome health issues emerge, and personal hygiene is neglected. Bihira nang maligo at mag-toothbrush. Relationship also with family members may also worsen, and a change in personality emerges. A child can become less open, more secretive, locks his or her bedroom door, and become less honest about his or her whereabouts or use of money. Or maybe, worse, may even steal your money. there are many instances when parents do not notice their child's drug use. As they say, parents are always the last to know. If you do not know something, or you pretend not to know, how can you help your child? So what may be the reasons of parents for this seeming indifference to the misbehavior? First is denial. They deny because they have high expectations of their child, or simply because they cannot accept the truth that they have a drug user for a child. Di lang ang adik ang nagde-deny, pati parents. Siyempre nga naman, alam namang ipagmalaki mo pa na adik ang anak mo, di ba? They are enabling their child's drug use. Enabling happens when parents tolerate their children's harmful or problematic behavior and make it easier for that behavior to continue. In simple terms, in Tagalog, kinokonsinte. While not necessarily supporting drug use, not doing something against it is wrong. If your child has shown signs like absenteeism in schools, excessive spending, and negative behavior, talk to him about it and address the issues. Blame and shame. They blame and shame their child for using drugs. Blaming and shaming are defense mechanisms parents use to hide their shortcomings in parenting. Ang tawag dyan is projection, wherein yung mga pagkukulang ng magulang ay pinapasa sa anak through pagpapahiya at paninisi. This does not help. Addressing drug use starts with parents knowing and admitting their shortcomings. Finally, here are what parents can do if their child has been involved in drugs. At any stage along the spectrum of drug use, it is important to intervene and at best seek professional help. The earlier help is sought before a substance use disorder emerges, the higher the probability your child can reverse course and fulfill a life of promise and potential. Speak to a professional and seek his advice on the best possible care for your child. Early intervention may prevent a lifetime of unhappiness, broken dreams, and compromised health. Sabi nga, early intervention is the key to effectively put the drug-using behavior in check. Here are 5 steps you can follow to help them. Parents need to get support for themselves. Talk to experts and professionals to know how to address the issue. Both mother and father should deal with the issue together and support each other. Walang sisihan sa mother and father. Yung iba, they join self-help groups with similarly situated parents like yung Codependence Anonymous so they can share and exchange experiences and strategies and give mutual support on how to handle their drug-using behavior children. When talking to a using child or confronting him about drug use, stay calm and don't argue. Your goal is to understand the roots of the behavior and find solutions. Kung galit ka, di na yan magsasalita. You will not be able to get any information from him. Also, never badmouth their friends. The more nasisiraan o kakagalitan ng mga barkada niya, the more na ilalayo mo siya papunta sa mga barkada niya. Remember, napakalakas ng peer influence sa mga teenagers. With very difficult children, an intervention facilitated by a professional may need to take place. A counselor may help with breaking the child's resistance to therapy or support. Pag medyo malalim ng problema, takbo na tayo sa professionals para matulungan tayo. Get the assessment and follow through. the referral and recommendations for the child and the family. Kung tayo ay sasangguni sa professionals, make sure na susundin natin ang recommendation nila or else hindi natin ma-address ang problem. Let us not be in denial. Huwag tayo magpadala sa awa o sa mga broken promises ng ating mga anak na magbabago sila on their own. Pag malala na ang drug use, kailangan na talaga ng outside help. Keep in mind that getting help for the child is expressing love and taking care of the child's well-being. Tough love, ika nga. Always bear in mind, to be in your children's memories tomorrow, you have to be in their lives today. Sabi yan ni Barbara Johnson. At sinabi ko na rin. I have started this lecture with the survey findings and will end exactly in the same manner. When respondents were asked as to who they perceive to be the most helpful to drug users who would like to seek interventions or who would like to be helped, a greater number answered that it is their family. To quote Mr. Anthony Brandt, other things may change us, but we start and end with the family. That ends my presentation. Thank you very much for your kind attention. God bless us all.
Thank you very much po, Asek Leng, for your presentation. Your presentation sounded like a summary po ng mga previous presentations na ginagawa po natin dito sa Ndep webinar series, pero naka-contextualize po siya for parents. So for our parents who are watching for the first time, we encourage you to watch the previous episodes kasi yung pinakita po sa atin ni Asek Leng for her lecture this afternoon is like an outline, an overview of all those concepts, pero very practical na po for you, like spending time with your children, what to say to your kids in different situations. So maraming salamat po, Asek Leng, Asek Maria Belen Matibag ng Dangerous Drugs Board. Katulad ng sinabi po natin kanina, we have plenty of time for questions and answers. So we invite all of you to go to the link that is shown at the bottom of your screen, bit.ly/2020 Ndep web series feedback. Again, that's bit.ly/2020 Ndep web series feedback. All small capital letters where you can type in your questions, comments, or other feedback. And we have our Assistant Secretary from the DDB who will be staying with us in the next few minutes pa po para sagutin ang inyong mga tanong. Ayan. So Asek, okay lang po habang naghihintay tayo ng pagdating ng mga questions ng ating po mga participants. Meron na po akong ilang mga questions na gustong i-raise. And maybe this might be of interest din po sa ating mga viewers. Asek, meron po kayong binanggit kanina kung gaano ka-importante na i-highlight yung successes, yung efforts, not necessarily success agad, pero when you see improvement in the behavior of your child, ay i-highlight mo yon. Sometimes po, yung naririnig ko, for example, sa traditional way of upbringing sa mga Pilipino, meron po perspective na doing that is masyado daw soft or masyadong positive. Pero you're saying that there is value to focusing on what is good in your child than nagging on what is negative sa kanila. Kahit hindi po yun yung, minsan hindi po kasi yun yung karanasan. So sometimes, meron po, katulad po sa pelikula, no, yung naririnig nating sinasabi, kaya lumalaki yung ulo ng anak mo kasi puro na lang yung positive ang pinofocus mo. Dapat ininanag mo rin siya. What can you say po, Asek, dun sa ganung mga perspective on parenting?
Actually, you have to focus on positive behavior. Kasi kahit ikaw, yung boss mo nakikita puro palpak mo, would you be happy? Yun lang ang simple doon, di ba? So it doesn't mean na pinapamper ka ng boss mo. It is just praising, giving credit to where credit is due. Kung hindi naman kailangang i-praise, bakit mo i-praise, di ba? So i-encourage mo siya. Pag kulang ang effort, you encourage. Pero huwag nga sabihin, ikaw talaga, sablay ka lagi, palpak ka lagi. So, isipin na lang natin, kung ang boss natin laging nakikita yung mali, would you be happy? Hindi. So, ganun din yon. Focus on positive behavior. Para yung pagpapahalaga ng bata sa sarili niya, tumataas. Kung puro palpak, sasabihin niya, good for nothing naman ako eh. Sabi ng mami ko, palpak naman ako eh. Bobo naman ako talaga eh. Kaya hindi na yung magbibigay ng effort. Pero pag laging positive ang atake mo, positive din ang magiging well-being ng bata. Okay?
Yeah. All right. Actually, no, drawing from our own experience nga naman, it works that when we focus on the efforts, on the achievements, lalong ma-amplify yon. And then, mas proactive yung direction ng parenting.
Alam mo bakit efforts na? You focus on efforts. Kasi hindi naman laging panalo. Hindi naman laging the best. So, ano na lang, kung kunwari may competition, natalo. O di, bagsak na agad yung motivation ng bata, discouraged na agad, disappointed na agad. So, step by step, you focus on the effort. O nag-aaral, nagpa-practice, i-build up mo habang nag-effort pa lang siya. Eventually, it will lead to success. Pero isipin natin hindi laging successful. Huwag mong sasabihin na laging success or else magiging success-driven ng bata. Pag nag-fail siya, wala na. Ayaw na niya tumuloy.
All right. So yun po yung emphasis no na it's not really about succeeding per se, although we celebrate when that happens, pero yung efforts, yung binigay ng bata dun sa behavior, that's something to celebrate and pwedeng i-build up.
Yes, it's not always the winning, but the effort given to win. Kahit hindi nanalo, best effort ang binigay, yun, reward the best effort.
Opo. Thank you very much po, Asek. Ang na-appreciate ko po dun sa presentation ninyo, isinandwich nyo siya sa context ng drug prevention. Pero kahit tanggalin natin yung dalawang context na yun, Asek, the lecture at the middle will stand. Kasi what you basically shared to our parents is effective parenting in different contexts. And when we do that, nagkakaroon na lang po siya ng implication, positive effect dun sa substance use or dun sa exposure ng bata to substances. And one of the things that I took from your lecture, Asek, is you focused on building a positive relationship with your child. You talked about wag i-negative, wag i-demonize yung kanyang mga barkada. And that's like, in a way, parang baka po may mga parents tayo na nasusurprise kasi may tendency po minsan, syempre, you want the best for your children, tapos nakikita mo na may tendency na ma-invite to risky behaviors yung anak mo by joining those their barkada at the moment. Pero you're saying na when we engage with our children, we engage with the children ng mga parents, you respect pa rin yung choices na meron sila even with their friendships. Na hindi ka investigative, hindi ka parang threaten. You were saying that earlier, Asek?
Actually, ang sa akin na wag mong siraan ang mga kaibigan kasi ang loyalty nila nasa kaibigan. Itong stage of life na to, yung adolescent period, ang buhay ng mga bata is yung kaibigan. So the more that you antagonize them, siyempre, ang mangyayari yan, kakampihan nila. Yung kaibigan nila na sinisira mo. Ang lalabas, ikaw ang kontrabida. So, in a subtle manner, mag-introduce ka ng panibagong set of friends. Hey, kunwari, mga office mates mo, invite them at home. And then, pag-befriend mo yung introduce, o kaya sa FB account, i-friend mo tong alam mo tong mahilig to sa ganyan, pareho kayo mahilig sa ganyan. Slowly, i-win away mo siya doon sa mga negative influencers niya. Pero wag mong outright sasabihin, tigilan mo yan. Kasi the more na sinabi mong tigilan, lalo niyang gagawin. Kasi nga, negativistic pa.
All right. Wow. So that's a very practical example. So hindi niyo rin naman sinasabi, Asek, na i-push natin into situations yung ating mga anak that will put them into the temptation of risky behaviors. But what they're saying is we can implement strategies in the context of a positive and open relationship with your child na napapakinggan mo rin siya, ano interest niya, and you're able to introduce positive influence without necessarily attacking or antagonizing yung mga nire-rely niya na sa kanya.
Yes.
Alright.
Tama.
Opo, that's a very practical tip, no? And nakikita natin.
Barkada kontra droga.
Opo. Actually positive nga po yung mga comments natin dito sa Facebook. Sabi, solid ang galing ni Asek. One of our commenters said. Practical nga po. Thank you, Asek, for sharing your insight. Very informative. So these are comments na nakikita natin sa comment section ng Facebook. We invite our viewers to go to the link. Kasi po yung mga comments po natin na nakikita dyan sa Facebook, natatabunan eh. So if you have questions or comments for our resource person this afternoon, go to the link shown at the bottom and type your insights and comments there. Asek, meron pong isang question dito from Ma'am Divina Alapitan, one of our teachers. Kanina parang nabanggit nyo na po in passing na if you're the parent, ikaw mismo model as the behavior na gusto mo for your children. But maybe we have parents who find it difficult, let's say, to quit smoking or to stop drinking, even occasionally. So question po ng ating teacher, how can be a parent who himself or herself uses a specific substance, let's say alcohol or tobacco, be a good role model to their children in the prevention of drug abuse?
Actually, sorry na lang you lost your chance to be a good role model. Diba? Kasi paano mo babawalan? Sabi mo, huwag ka maninigarilyo, huwag kang iinom. Kasi yan ang mga gateway na gateway drugs to eventual talaga yung hard drugs. So, hindi ka na pwedeng maging role model. Not unless you will stop the habit. Stop smoking, stop, kasi we're only human, and with stress, yung iba, sabi ko nga, may mga taong hindi naman naiiwasan na manigarilyo o uminom, lalo na yung mga social drinkers. But at least, at the very least, huwag niyong pakita sa anak niyo kung hindi niyo talaga kaya. Yun na lang yun. Huwag niyong pakikita because pag bawal ka ng bawal at nahuli kang ginagawa mo yung pinagbabawal mo, you lose your credibility. Sorry. Pwede hindi ka napakinggan ng anak mo.
Alright. So parang
naman sabihin na huwag kayong gagaya sa akin kasi iba yung naging orientation nung bata pa ako, iba yung pagpapalaki sa akin, pero I will promise to you, I will quit dahil alam kong masama ito. Tulungan mo ko anak. Pag nakikita mo na gusto kong magsigarilyo, bawalan mo ko. Sabihin mo, Daddy, may promise ka sa akin. Parang, maging parang ang trato mo sa anak mo is parang equal kayo. Tutulungan kita pag kailangan mo ng tulong, tulungan mo din si Daddy. Kasi kailangan ko yung tulong mo. Diba? Siguro naman pag ang anak mo na nagbawal sa'yo, mapapahiya ka na.
So in that sense, Asek, authentic relationship pa rin with your child, no? Na hindi ka rin naman magpapanggap na parang napakadali nung pinipreach mo. Pero you're also saying na you're admitting na we can help each other sa aspekto na to. Ayan. Asek, meron pong ilang parents and their parenting style would be, mabuti nang sa akin mo matutunan or ako na yung kasama mo kapag iinom, at least in the context of drinking. So that I can see how you behave when it comes to drinking kaysa sa iba mo pa matutunan. What can you say about that?
Di ba sabi ko pwede namang mag-drink, pwede namang mag-yosi, basta wag lang early in life. Di ba? Pwede na after age 21. Di ba yung sinasabi ko, delay. If you cannot really help it, delay. Kasi habang hindi pa mature ang brain, ang tendency, they will end up progressing to drug use. Pero kung natuto kang manigarilyo o uminom ng alak ng mga 21 above, although sinabi dito 25, hindi ka na magiging addict. Pero magiging alcoholic ka naman, siguro.
Parang I heard nga, Opo. As I heard stories na when they tried the substance at 25, halimbawa smoking, they're saying, why am I doing this? And then they throw it away. Kasi yun nga parang medyo mas rational na silang mag-isip compared dun sa nag-smoke at the age of 16, 17 and developing pa yung brain na draw na into addiction. So, opo, Asek, may sinasabi po kayo?
Okay lang, no.
All right. Thank you very much po, Asek, for answering that. Meron pa po ditong mga questions. We're just filtering them po sila. Ayan. So meron po dito very practical question, Asek, from one of our teachers din. Sabi niya, Asek, hello po. What is the first step we should do if our son or daughter is very aloof, is a very aloof one and not opening his thoughts, and oftentimes they hide in their room, and when we ask the child, ang lagi niyang sinasagot, okay lang po. Yun. So very aloof, hiding in the room. Pag kinukumusta, sinasabi okay lang. Ano po yung practical first step na marerecommend niyo?
Dapat alamin natin, natural ba sa bata yon? Diba? Kasi may mga tao, ako, introvert ako. Lagi lang ako sa kwarto, nagbabasa-basa, nandun ako lagi. Napagkama lang tuloy ng mother ko, siguro adik ka, ba't lagi ka nakakulong sa kwarto? Sabi ko, hindi nga ako lumalabas ng bahay, nag-i-addict pa ako. So, depende. May mga bata talagang outgoing, meron naman talagang they tend to be loners, isolations lang. Happy sila with being, hindi, iba-iba tayo di ba? They happy being alone. Basta alamin mo, ganun ba talaga? Was there a change in the behavior? O ever since yung bata, ganun naman talaga siya, mahiyain, parang ayaw niya ng masyadong maraming tao, nahihiya, no? So alamin mo. Pero kung yun, nagbago ng behavior, na hindi naman siya dating ganun, kausapin mo. Alamin mo. Kausapin mo din yung mga kaibigan. Meron bang nangyari kay Angel? Bakit ganun? Parang nagbabago siya ng ugali. Kasi kung hindi mo pa siya muna, syempre matanong, ayaw nga sumagot, maghanap ka ng ibang pwedeng mag-corroborate ng mga suspicion mo. And then, pagka nalaman mo na, alam mo, Angel, nabalitaan ko, kaya ka pala nagsasarili kasi may problema ka. Ano ba yun? Baka pwede ko makatulong. Alam mo, everything starts with good communication. Pa-feel mo sa kanya na talagang concern ka, na what's wrong? Halika, lumabas tayo. Halika, mag-morning tayo. Naku, baka mamaya, bilis-bilis, magbibihis na yan. No? Mag-shopping tayo. Halapin mo kung anong magpapasigla sa kanya. Siyempre, kabisado mo yun, anak mo yun, di ba? Pero that is, kung hindi talaga, ganun talagang aloof siya, kung hindi siya natural na aloof, there must be something wrong. And you have to dig deeper, if not from your child, as from the peers.
All right. So ang ganda ring perspective po no, very practical kasi meron ding tendency na pilitin naman yung isang person to be vocal, to be very talkative, pero hindi niya naman talaga personality yon, and they have ways of expressing themselves and letting their feelings known sa tao sa paligid nila. Ayan, meron pa pong question po dito from one of our ESP3 in the field, Ma'am Lazara Kapadngan. How do we know that the efforts exerted need to be commended? Will in a way, parang na-raise naman na natin to kanina pala, Asek, no? Kung talaga bang makakatulong yung positive approach. And you have established na tayo nga, sa atin nga, nagwo-work sa mga bata pa pala. Pero ito lang pong part na to, how do we know that the efforts exerted need to be commended? Ano po ba yung every effort po ba? Parang practical application lang po, Asek.
Tingnan mo muna kung may effort ba talaga. Di ba, makikita mo naman kung nakikita mo na, uy, kahit madilim na, sige pa rin ang basa. Yung bang huwag kong masyadong limasin ko naman yung puri mo. Di ba? Purihin mo pag nakikita mong kapuri-puri. Kasi pag naging limasin ko yung puri mo, baliwala na. Ay, okay lang yan. Kahit maling ginawa ko, pinuri pa rin ako. Hindi na mag-strive. Di ba? parang wala na, parang ang dali-dali naman makuha yung puri na yan eh, sabi ganyan. So ngayon, tingnan mo muna, makikita mo kung ikaw mismo makakasabi kung kailan mo dapat i-praise ang anak mo at nakikita mo sa effort na ginagawa niya. Diba? Hindi ko pwede sabihin kasi hindi ko naman nakikita kung anong ginagawa ng anak mo. Sabi nga, gut feel. Tingnan mo, ikaw ang nakakakilala sa anak mo, alam mo kung ano siya dati, kung anong ginagawa niya ngayon, kung nagsisipag pa siya or what, nasa sayo na rin nyo kung paano. Pero
So,
masyadong praise.
So very specific din, no, Asek? Hindi yung parang blanket na, okay, very good for today and then that's it. But you become specific and you're really on the lookout for the good things na i-build.
Kung ano doon sa ginawa niya, ang tama at maganda. Eh pag sabing okay ka for today, alin doon ang okay? Kasi, di syempre, mas ma-encourage yung positive behavior pag alam niya kung ano yung tama sa ginawa niya. Right?
Opo. Thank you, Asek. Meron pong isang question dito, one of our BKD advisors. Paano ko po malalaman na ang isang bata ay, kanina nabanggit niyo na po in the context, generally, yung mga signs that you look for, parang na-enumerate niyo na po kanina sa inyong lecture. So we invite our viewer na nag-aas ng tanong na to go back to that slide. Pero yung question niya, Asek, siguro in the context of pandemic, is this something that we should be alarmed po? Nakasama naman natin ang ating mga anak sa loob ng mga bahay na malaman kung may ginagamit silang substance?
Alam mo, para sa mga bata na maaring nalulung na sa droga, ang pandemic is an aggravating circumstance. Kasi stressful sa kanila yan dahil hindi nila nakikita yung barkada nilang pinakamamahal nila. Hindi nila nakakabanding, hindi nakakatakas. So, pag kasi na malalim na ang pagdodroga mo, may compulsion ka na. May urge, may cravings. So, gagawa ka ng paraan. Kaya nakikita nyo sa mga balita, kahit pandemic na, uunahin pa yung pambili ng droga kaysa sa pambili ng pagkain. Because they are already addicted. Ang kanilang primary motivation in life is to take drugs, get drugs by hook or by crook, and satisfy the cravings. So, parang kung hindi naman talagang may problema sa droga ang bata, hindi pa mangyayari yung tatakas para bumili ng droga. No? Andyan naman kayo, andyan naman, one-on-one, kaya nga minsan naghihiwa-hiwalay na kasi minsan sobrang hindi na maganda yung sobrang pagsasama. Sabi nga absence makes the heart grow fonder. Pero pag yung isang paling mo pala, nakita mo na nakakasama.
So in that sense, parang for the majority of the population naman po na not into substance use, this is really an opportunity to build positive relationships. Pero sabi niyo po dun sa meron ng degree of addiction, maybe help is already needed kasi aggravating, no, yung circumstance of being stuck, being trapped inside the home, and maybe that will need some professional help po kung sakali. Ayan. Asek, meron pong question dito from Nurse Rose ng Guimaras. I like your advice on slowly weaning the child from the bad influence of barkadas. Salamat po. For parents po na hindi capacitated to address problems on drugs, can you give po agencies where parents can get help or training?
Siyempre, sa amin, sa Dangerous Drugs Board, we have training programs for parents talaga. And I am one of the speakers namin on systematic training for effective parenting. Alam mo, soon, kung sino man yung teacher na nagre-request nun, pwede mag-request sa amin and then we can give you, slowly kasi mag-establish na kami, mag-develop kami ng mga training modules online. So, kung magre-request kayo sa opisina namin, baka i-prioritize namin kayo kung sakali para mabigyan namin kayo ng training on parenting. Pwede rin naman tayong pumunta sa DSWD. Nagbibigay din sila. Ang DepEd, nagbibigay din yan. Di ba? So, Marami din namang agencies, pero kung on drugs talaga, TDB pa rin.
All right, so that's the Systematic Training Education Program or STEP. Actually, ASEC, nag-roll out din po tayo ng STEP in DepEd the past years. Meron nga sanang nakaschedule for this year, kaya lang pandemic happened. So we look forward to the online platforms, no, para sa new normal specifically. May mga nagtatanong po, ASEC, kung ibibigay nyo daw po ba ang kopya ng inyong PowerPoint as a reference for our Ndep coordinators, our nurses, who are usually into re-echoing what they learn.
Of course.
Ayan. So we want more people to be reached by this information. Ito na lang po as a practical na question. For a parent, paano po ba pwedeng ituro sa mga bata ang dangers of using illegal substance na maiintindihan po nila? Ayan. From one of our teachers, Miss Dina Jimenez.
Bata.
Opo.
Ano bang klaseng bata? Yung ano ba? Yung
young
grade
kids. Young kids lang po yung ginamit niya.
Young kids. Okay. Simple lang yan kasi sabihin nyo lang na ang droga, dapat pag bata medisina pa di ba? Ang medicine, tinitake lang yan pag may sakit. So pag wala kang sakit, hindi ka dapat gagamit ng droga. Kasi ang ginagamot niyan yung sakit. Kung wala kang sakit, yung ibang parte ng katawan mo, ang sisirain niya. Dahil wala naman siyang gagawin. Na imbis na maayos ka, masisira ka. So kagaya niyan, marami tayong mga household na mga chemicals. Di ba? Meron tayong available na acetone. Meron tayong kung anong merong mga ibang gamit sa bahay. May gas, yung gasolina ng kotse. Yung mga rugby, yung mga thinner. So, dapat yan, nilalayo nyo sa bata para hindi sila na-expose at minsan, kanya-kanya tayo ng mga pang-amoy. Sa iba, mabango yan. Siyempre, pag mabango, ma-encourage yung behavior na amoy-amoy nila. Pero kung yan nakatago sa dapat na pagtaguan, walang access ang bata, hindi nila ma-experience kung ano man yung amoy niyan, kung ano man yung ganyan. So, dapat sabihin mo, drugs are for certain purposes. At, kagaya nung in-example ko, huwag mong paiinumin ng cough syrup para matulog. Kasi drug misuse yon. Kasi you use drugs not for the intended purpose of that drug. So, drug misuse. And misusing drugs may eventually lead to drug abuse. Kasi pag lagi mo nang ginagawa inaabuso mo na yung gamot. Gamot yun, hindi yun dapat droga. Kasi pwede rin tayong maging addict sa lehitimong gamot. Kagaya lang ng iba, pag meron silang mga back pains, di ba? Kung nagtitake sila ng mga pain relievers, meron dyan yung mga talagang mabibigat na pain relievers na, yung opioid-based na. So, nagiging na sila doon. Nagiging dependent sila doon. So, that is wrong.
Asek, ang napapansin ko po sa inyo, no, we ask about how to teach. And then with your response, it's not always about giving information. But it's really setting up an environment where children adapt the behaviors modeled by adults, the positive relationships in the home, and then yung sinasabi nyo nga po nito, modeling ng parents ng behavior na gusto nating ma-adapt din ng bata, and then giving them the information about certain medicines. Ayan. So I hope our viewers can also go back dun sa mga presentation ni Ase, kasi some of the questions po na nakikita natin are questions that were already answered earlier, especially dun po sa part ng how to know if a child is using drugs, paano sasabihin, paano ituturo. Meron na lang po ditong isang practical question. Sa DepEd po, ASEC, meron tayong mga parents and teachers associations. And mobilize din po talaga ang mga parents natin when it comes to addressing and providing help para po sa anumang issue na may kinalaman sa edukasyon at sa kalusugan ng ating mga anak. So ang tanong po dito from one of our teachers, from Malolos, Ma'am or Sir Beng Solestre, May suggestions po ba kayo na epektibong paraan o hakbang para maging interesado at aktibo ang mga magulang sa pakikiisa at pagsuporta sa mga activities ng school para sa kapakanan ng kanilang mga anak sa kabila ng conflict sa mga schedule?
Naku, yan talaga. Isa sa mga problema talaga yan. Ako, I recall, parang never nag-attend ng school meetings ang nanay tatay ko. No? Kasi ang concentration nila is how to how to earn a living. No, siguro kailangan i-impress natin sa kanila na this is for your children. It is not for us, lalo na kung teacher kayo. Kaya pakialam ba ng teacher sa anak niyo? Diba dapat you should be the ones who would be concerned about your children, kung ano ino-offer ng school. Pero alam mo, marami na rin ngayon na parents na talagang they're very much involved in school activities. Siguro, you come up with a program na mag-meet yung mga parents kasi minsan maiilang ka lang dyan pag hindi mo kilala yung mga kasama mong parent. Pero pag nag-establish na yan ng bonding at magkakilala na yan, baka mamaya even out of school, nagbabanding na yan sa mga bahay-bahay nila. So you come up with ways by which you can get them acquainted and be close to one another. Wag puro meeting. Mag-set up kayo ng mga parang party-party, na acquaintance party, ganyan. Tapos wag masyadong hard. Medyo minsan easy-easy lang, di ba? So that way, and then you come up with a Facebook, group chat for them. Para pag yung anak ko ba nandyan? Anong ginagawa nila? Di ba? Merong spy, kayo dyan, group. So parang ganon. Get them interested in the activity. Wag puro four corners of the school classroom lang. Ay, boring talaga yan. So, get some other place to meet. Sabi mo, minsan, di ba, pwedeng yung floating, yung ikot. Ang mag-host naman ngayon, ganito. Kung hindi, potluck. Di ba? Kung hindi kayang mag-host, ang susunod na PTA meeting natin sa bahay ni Sir Gian. Pero kanya-kanya tayong dala ng pagkain, hindi pwedeng ako lang. Siyempre, budget, di ba? So, gano'n, gawin nating enjoyable at talagang get them to really know each other. Kasi pag friends mo na, kahit walang meeting, pupunta yan. Baka nagtatawagan na sila. Gano'n, get them socially motivated to meet. Lalong-lalo na ang pag-uusapan naman yung mga anak nila.
Ayan, exciting po yan lalo na after this pandemic, no, Asek, na talagang makapag-meet na and I like the highlight on building a positive relationship pa rin, no, even with the parents in engaging them, with our children in engaging them in positive behaviors, engaging parents in involvement sa school. Laging bumabalik po, no, sa pag-build ng positive relationship with each other. And thank you for that emphasis po, Asek. Ayan. So, Asek, we have reached almost the end of our session for this afternoon. We are reading really good feedback po dito. Meron lang pong question. Last na lang siguro ito. Okay lang po ba ang reverse psychology na i-apply sa mga bata na nahihirapan na maglabas ng problema? Pero pag ni-reverse psychology, okay lang po ba yun? What is the best attack kung paano po maipapalabas ang nasa loob nila? So another technique. Ginagamit po ba, Asek? I understand you have a background in psychology and counseling. Is it okay to use reverse psychology or...
Depende, anong klaseng reverse psychology ba? Kunwari, sabi niya? Ayaw magsalita?
Ayaw mag-open up. So, i-reverse psychology. Hindi rin po siya nagbigay ng exact example eh.
Paano reverse psychology yung gagawin mo? Paano mo siya mapapa-open up? Paano reverse psychology? So siguro, ang pinakamaganda dyan para mag-open up, get him alone with you. Umalis kayo sa house. Kunwari sa church, dalhin mo siya sa church. Or some other place that you can talk. Kasi iba yung sa bahay. Maring andun yung mga ibang kapatid, nahihiya. So, find time na lumabas kayo and get the chance to talk. O kaya kumain kayo. Ngayon pwede na kumain sa labas, di ba? Tamang-tama yun, hindi pwedeng marami. At least one-on-one kayo. kausapin mo, tapos kung ayaw magsalita, okay lang, makinig ka lang, you respect the silence muna. Pero, basta kain, pero eventually, habang kumakain kayo, oh, masarap ba? Masarap ba yung ulam? Nagustuhan mo ba? Ano pa bang gusto mo? Oh, bakit parang lately, tahimik ka? May problema ba? O ganon. Parang slowly, okay lang. Kanino ka pa ba magkasabi kundi kay mami? Diba? Siyempre, kung ano man yung secrets mo, dapat si mami nakakaalam. Dahil si mami hindi magja-judge. Si mami hindi ka ikikwento sa iba. Secret lang natin yan. Kaya let me know. Let me into your mind and into your heart. Parang ganon. Find a long time sa kanyang dalawa lang para ma-encourage siya magsalita, mag-talk. Diba? And also, konting haplos, pakita mo na feeling na mahal siya. Di ba iba yung touch therapy talaga? Iba yung gano'n. Hindi yung parang galit ka agad na, bakit ba ayaw mo magsalita? Anong problema mo? Eh di na yung magka-clam up yun. Kasi parang umpisa mo pa lang. Antagonistic ka na. Confrontational ka na agad. Mami, nothing's wrong. Wala lang. Di ba? Yung pala, nakagalit lang yung friend niya or kunwari, nabasag na pala yung cellphone niya, ayaw niya sabihin, mapagalitan siya. So, kailangan slowly get him to open up slowly. Pero don't make kulit. Slowly build up the timing para malaman mo. And dapat may alone time kayo. Oo.
All right. Thank you very much po, Asek. So again, it will really vary from parent to parent, child to child, kung anong technique per se yung gagawin, kung reverse ba yan or not reverse. Pero what Asek is emphasizing is the building of positive relationship, open relationship that is built on trust so that the child can open up at the pace and at the time na ready siya. And syempre, for us to listen to them without judgment, yung maganda yung sinasabi ni Ase kanina na wag nating sasalubungin agad ng galit or that would discourage them to open up.
Kasi
so marami, yes po.
Yung reverse psychology, ayun sabihin yun, hindi mo rin siya kakausapin. Kasi di ba, pag hindi nagsasalita, ang tendency mo, kausapin mo. Pag sinabi mo reverse psychology, hindi mo rin siya papansinin, hindi lalo lumaki yung problema.
Alright. So talagang
yung ibig sabihin ng reverse psychology, what context yung reverse psychology? So siguro hindi ko maintindihan, pero hindi ko alam talaga kung ano ibig sabihin ng reverse psychology.
Opo. Pero mahalaga yung sinabi niyo na lang, Asek, na we go back to the goal of building a trusting relationship with the child so that the child is able to open, na hindi natin siya sasalubungin ng judgment, ng pagalit, but really compassion as we listen to them and hear them wherever they are coming from. Maraming salamat po, Asek, for sharing your afternoon with us. And maraming salamat po sa ating mga viewers. Any closing words po for our viewers this afternoon?
Alam nyo, lahat ng tourists, very ideal. Pero napakahirap gawin. Ang hirap maging magulang. Madali lang magsalita ng positive. Pero minsan tayo mismo negative. Tayo mismo down na down. Ang hirap mag-angat pag ikaw mismo lugmok. Pero have faith in God. Doon lang, tutulungan niya tayo.
Maraming salamat po, Asek Maria Belen Matibag from the Dangerous Drugs Board. Maraming salamat po. That was a very powerful closing reminder ni Asek sa atin, no? Yung sinasabi niya na these theories, these principles, these are the ideals. These are what we want to do, you want to do in your parenting style. Pero sometimes siguro mukhang i-apply din natin sa sarili natin yung tip ni Asek to celebrate efforts, not just the successes. So if in your efforts, maybe as parents, in doing and pursuing, in doing what is best for your kids, in pursuing what is best for your children, and sometimes hindi laging success, but you exert effort, maybe you need to tap yourself or maybe find comfort or find support from another parent and say, hey, it's okay, you're doing great. That's a good start. That's a good intention, but it's going to be a journey. So I speak to all the parents po na nanonood ngayon. We understand, you know, and you only want what is the best for your children. And that's a good place to start. Maraming salamat po sa pakikinig sa atin ngayong hapon, sa lecture ni ASEC, and sa interest ninyo on how you can do better in parenting your kids, not only in the context of substance use prevention, but of health promotion in general. At the end of the day, it's going to be a journey of compassion, of finding what works and what does not work based on evidence. But it's really going to be a journey. So sometimes we succeed, sometimes we don't. Pero magpapatawaran tayo ng ating mga sarili at ng isa't isa kung paano po natin para matutupad yung mga gusto nating mangyari para sa ating mga anak, sa inyong mga anak, sa ating mga kabataan. All right, so kung meron pa po kayong questions, comments, insights, dyan lang po sa ating link na yan, especially if you're watching from the recording, we would like to hear from you and we would like to address some of your questions na rin later about certificates. No? It's still a recurring question, especially for those who are joining us dito sa bandang dulo na ng ating webinar series. But we just want to make an announcement. Sa ating next slide, ang ating announcement, we would like you to know na meron po tayong ongoing. Actually, it's a contest that we previously held in August, letter writing for tobacco control, but we have reopened it and extended the deadline to November 30. Nagtatanong po kayo kanina on how we can be involved in substance use prevention. This is a practical way. Parents, encourage your children, your learners, to write letters to their respective legislators, whether at the local level or at the national level, to support existing legislation or to propose or suggest legislation. So makikita nyo po ang memo sa bit.ly/DepEdVivo letter. Pwede rin pong balikan ang recorded webinars natin kung saan tinuruan ng mga learners kung paano sumulat ng letter for tobacco control. Sa mga nagtatanong po tungkol sa ating certificates, balikan lang po natin yung mga sinasabi rin natin sa previous episodes. Lahat ng mga sagot ninyo ay nasa memo na sagot na natin na makikita sa bit.ly/2020 Ndep web series. Kailangan nyo lang pong mag-register sa link na ito sa Ndep 2020 Ndep web series reg, bit.ly/2020 Ndep web series reg. Pagkakaroon kayo ng enrollment key, ipapadala yan sa inyong email, and then you just go to the link and find DepEd Professional Development Learning Management System. Lahat ng recording ng ating webinars ay nandito sa PDLMS. Lahat din, meron din tayong quiz na sasagutan ninyo at the end of each episode. Last week, we got almost 15,000 participants na humingi ng certificate of attendance. So just go to PDLMS, makikita nyo po yan dyan sa details ng ating registration, where you will put in your enrollment key. Next slide. When you pass the quiz for each episode, makakakuha po kayo ng certificate of attendance. Kapag naman po nakumpleto ninyo ang 10 episodes, 2 episodes na lang tayo next week and November 17, kailangan makakakuha naman po kayo ng certificate of completion. Of course, provided that you will pass the final exam and the evaluation form ay sasagutin po natin. Nonetheless, kung ito lang or selected episodes lang po yung inyong inatenan, makakakuha pa rin kayo ng certificate of attendance basta ma-complete nyo lang po yung ating exit quiz. Alright, so as we do every episode, we would like to express our gratitude, our pasasalamat to the Dangerous Drugs Board, to the ASEAN Training Center for Preventive Drug Education, or ATCPDE, for their support for this Ndep webinar series. Inside DepEd, nagpapasalamat po tayo sa ating mga kasamahan sa Information and Communications Technology Service or ICTS at sa Public Affairs Service for their weekly support. Hindi nyo man po sila nakikita because they are behind the scene. They support us every week to make this webinar series a success. Of course, we continue to thank our Youth Formation Division, our DepEd regional offices, and our school health and nutrition personnel for disseminating information about this activity, reminding our participants na mag-online na kayo, mag-live na ang ating Ndep webinar series, and even addressing technical concerns and questions ng ating mga participants from the field. And of course, sa inyo po, mga parents natin, maraming salamat sa inyo pong panonood ngayong hapon. We appreciate your interest in tonight's topic. It only shows talaga po how you love your children and how you want the best for them. Sa palagay ko po, dyan po tayo talaga nagkakapare-pareho sa desire natin na makita yung best for our learners. We started with a prayer, remembering our brothers and sisters who have been affected by the typhoon. Let's continue to remember them and find ways on how we can support them. Maraming salamat po. Let's end this session with a tap on ourselves. Sabihin natin, it's been a day. It's been a day and great job kung ano man yung mga good things na nagawa natin for this afternoon. See you po again next week sa dalawa pang episodes na natitira for our Ndep webinar series. We're excited to see you hanggang sa dulo po ng series na ito. Maraming salamat at magandang gabi po. Stay safe.